All right, I figured we need to go through a tour. I'm going to refresh my memory as we walk through the car, but the GT3 RS giveaway is in full swing. You go to obsessedgarage.com. You can buy stuff like the high torque tool. I convinced them to let me put this in the giveaway, so this could be, you know, if you're a Porsche guy, this thing's $5,000 but the high torque tool allows you to remove the center locks with like a single index finger instead of getting your whole family out here to take the wheels off. Just it'll change your life, I'm telling you. I know lots of people are questioning the validity of this. I've had it for a year and a half now. I use it like a fraction of what our friends at Dundon use it. They use it all the time, and they're probably using it all day long, and they're pretty darn bulletproof. These are made for, you know, industrial applications. So this little simple task of precision torquing a center lock, it makes it super easy, and it's a piece of cake for this. If you are using it all the time, it's like, I think it's like $150 to send it in. They send you a label and they recalibrate it. I'm going to do mine every 2 years, but you could do it every year if you were using it all the time on the track and stuff like that. I use mine probably once a month on average, maybe twice a month. And I know, you know, the dollar per amount of time spent is probably not doesn't add up, but it's one of the coolest tools that I have in my setup. It doesn't look like much, doesn't look super pretty, but it will change your whole user experience of dealing with wheels and tires and adjusting suspensions. Just if you're doing any kind of tweaking or changing wheels and tires on your GT cars or your turbos with your center lock wheels, makes a huge difference. So this will count towards giveaway entries. We have things like the Sonic. If you're interested in, you know, setting up a tool setup like this, I'm still in love with the Sonic stuff. Actually, I just put a batch of. I've been buying all the Snap-on tools, buying all the Wera screwdrivers, Hazet tools. I keep coming back to this. I mean, there's nobody that has organization like this, and the tools are nice. I mean, and some of the tools are, you know, best in class. Like they're you know, getting the NWS here, but they're leveraging companies like NWS out of Germany to build some of the tools that they don't have an expertise in, and their ratchets are nice. And so we have this sample kit that you could purchase for a few bucks if you wanted to kind of try out a few of the tools to see if it was something you liked enough to consider investing in, you know, a bigger drawer setup like this. And we have a bunch of merch. I hate this hat, but, you know, everybody else seems people are buying like crazy, so I'm the only idiot who hates it. But this is a you know, embroidery on the side, a Richardson Flex, which is a nice. These are my favorite hat. I can't wear anything else now after wearing this. Rag Company made us a special OG drying aid towel. We even have tchotchkes like coffee cups. So all that stuff counts toward the giveaway. I can't just open up pressure washing and open up all the detailing stuff. It doesn't work. I'm $300,000 into this thing. I paid $260 for the car. We added up all the other expenses. Somewhere it's like $298,000 because buying wheels and new calipers and the freaking Dundon exhaust is like 15 grand or 13 grand, something like that. So anyway, the giveaway concept allowed me to purchase a car that I probably can't afford, experience it, overspend on it to get it to a level that's acceptable to me. In order to do that, I bought a car with some miles on it, some track miles on it. Actually, when I bought it, it was unknown. I gotten to know the or at least two of the three previous owners, so I know what they used it for. This is a utilitarian vehicle. This is a vehicle that was used on the track. It was a national PCA instructor, was the original owner who did most of the miles on the thing. And it's a car that's been driven. Now, we just took it to the airstrip, so it has some dirt and some bug guts and stuff on it. I'm probably not going to drive it much from now on because, I mean, it's going to be worth a lot of money to me. You know, if I had to credit everybody back. But it's been such a great experience owning it. Now I really understand the car. Buying a car with some miles on it made me dig into it. I had to dig into things like what's the difference between a 991.1 caliper and a 991.2. You know, the mounting position or the mounting hat is a little different. Or the studs, I guess the caliper studs are a little different, dealing with all the individual components of the interior. And so let's just kind of walk through the car. Let's see if I'll pull it all from memory, all the things that I had to do to it. to get it to where it's at and get it to a standard. When I do giveaways, I'm looking to put a car together for me. And then, to be honest with you, every single car I've done a giveaway on, I've been considering, do I keep it or do I sell it? Do I do a giveaway? I can't really sell it because I could sell it, but I paid $260 for it. The car's probably worth $280, you know, so I might be able to get a little bit more for it now. Prices have gone up a bit, but it still has 31,000 miles on it, so it has some miles on it. I mean, maybe I could find someone to pay, you know, a little bit more than what I'm into it. But the concept of this car was, if I was going to collect this thing, having a 30,000 mile driver was not what I was looking for. I'd be looking for like a 1,200 mile masterpiece that I could just rub with a microfiber diaper. But instead, I decided to buy something that I would really have to get into the car. We'd need to dry ice clean it. I need to sort the suspension out. I'd need to figure out, you know, airbag lights and deal with broken trim pieces and things like that. But I didn't want something that was so ragged out that was problematic. And so I got a car that has some wear and tear that I could then chase perfecting it. And so that's what this car is. And so I build the car for me. If this was going to be my car and I was going to keep this as a driver, as a car that I was going to use all the time, what standard, where would I draw the line? And you have to draw the line somewhere, because otherwise you'd end up repainting the whole car, changing every part and piece on it. So I'm looking to go to the place where I would normally go to. And so I feel confident we've gotten the car there. So the very first thing I had to do was to fix the paint. And when we got the car, there was a big stripe etched in what I thought was the clear coat. I thought the car had had like a graphics kit on it, or like whatever you call it, a vinyl kit. You know, Porsche dudes love to put weird stickers all over their cars. I don't like that. And so when I got it, there was a stripe that you could see the halo effect that was running all the way down the car. And I thought, well, shoot, I'm going to have to pull the PPF off. We're going to try to wet sand it and see if we can get that out. If not, I'm going to have to do like repaint the hood and repaint the roof. Well, it turns out, I come to find out, that graphics was put on, stop calling it graphics. That makes me sound like an old man. Right? What do we call that? A vinyl, whatever, accoutrements. What the Porsche gents do. They get weird seat inserts and put graphics in different colors all over the car. So I just put a freaking handprint on that thing. So anyway, I found out it was on the PPF, so then I'm like, well, shoot, I can just replace the PPF. I actually was able to polish it out. So this whole car has Expel PPF, which looked terrible. It clearly had been just kind of dry wiped and hand washed, probably even went through a few car washes. So it was a little scratched up, a little janky looking, and so combined the etch from the vinyl striping and then just the regular wear and tear on it. Even though the PPF is only about a year old, to redo this whole car is like $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, and the film was in pretty good condition, other than it just looked kind of drab. And so me doing a full perfect finish polishing cleaned it up. And right now there's a film from the track, or from the drag strip, and it still looks freaking fantastic. So I polished the whole thing. You can polish PPF just like paint, and I made a video on that. And then I did Crystal Serum Light topped with XO version 5, the new version that I can now talk about, which we have in the store. And we end up with a really, really good looking finish on the car. There's a few stretch marks in the PPF, and I thought about just spending the money and having it redone. But the film is in good enough condition that if it were my car, I wouldn't be spending that money. And so, I guess it is my car. I wouldn't spend the money. I'd want to stretch, several years, 3-4 years out of the PPF before I messed with it. And so that was one of the very first things I had to make a decision on, was what do we do about the exterior finish of the car, And everybody who's seen it, like if you got a light out, you'd be like, well, you know, this, that. There's a few rock chips under the PPF from the previous owners. But for a 30,000 mile car, it looks freaking fantastic, especially a 30,000 mile car with some track time on it. So then my plan, you know, this car was a white gold car, so it was actually pretty darn rare in that it had white gold mirrors, white gold, what do they call that, Lipson, the little lip insert here. It had white gold wheels, and then it had the white gold stickers, you know, the white gold vinyl down the side of it. Now, it didn't have any of that when I got on it. All it had was the yellow GT3 sticker on the front and rear. So they'd removed all the white gold, painted all the white gold black, painted the repowdered or painted the wheels black, but the wheels were really janked up. It was flaking off and they just weren't in good condition. And so as soon as I knew I was going to do this car, I knew that these were the wheels that had to go on it. BBS RE-MTSP, which I bought from my friends at Supreme Power. Eric actually had a set in stock. I was able to pick whichever color I wanted, either white gold or the platinum satin finish, and so I went platinum, and I'm really, really pleased on how that turned out. It looks great. I transitioned from, they were a older set of PS4S's on the car, and put these new Cup 2s on it, and you know, that made a pretty significant difference in stickiness, at least in the rock pickup. But the car does feel more planted with the Cup 2s on it. The other thing that I needed to do was to replace the center locks, where you know, clearly had been on and off the car a lot for lots of brake services, lots of tire changes. So new center lock nut, and then because I got the new center lock nut, the old RS, the little RS caps I didn't want to buy that, but they're $200 a set. So I bought a new center lock nut and a new, you know, RS insert, and so that, you know, costs, you know, $1,000 or so to do that. But I think, to me, that makes the car feel cleaner, nicer, neater. Even with them super, like I'm telling you, super, this is the dirtiest this car's ever been since I've owned it, after our day at the airstrip, but it still looks freaking fantastic. The other thing that needed to be done, I was hoping with our dry ice cleaning that we were going to be able to restore the calipers, but they were gonzo. And so I bought a refinished set of calipers. They took a few dings on the way here when they shipped them to me, but they're like, you know, there's a few little chips. There's like one little chip on each of them, which really breaks my heart. Really nothing I could do about it, because to get another set of these is really, really difficult. And so I think I spent like $5,000 to get a new set of calipers. These are all the things that add up to not really allow you to sell the darn thing. So I only do things where I'm assuming I'm going to keep the car for the rest of my life. And so the only way for me to get out of this deal is to do a giveaway and sell you lots of stuff, and hope that we can get out of the car and make a few bucks at the end of the day. I didn't really do much with the suspension other than it was dumped and there was no preload on the suspension. So I had a new or actually raised the front up. The rear I didn't need to do much other than I swapped all of the toe arms back to new factory toe arms, so we didn't have so much darn adjustment. And raised the front about 3/4 of an inch to get the suspension back into preload. I didn't want to start dealing with finding helper springs. I like the height like this better anyway, and maybe I'd give it a 1/4 inch lower, but in order to get the proper load on the spring, this is where it needs to be, and so the car handles so much better now. It was a bit of a disaster when I got it, and so getting it cleaned up has helped. I still don't love the twitchiness of a 997. I feel like I need to send it to like a Motion Engineering or a Driver's Choice or something like that and have them really get into the car. There's still a little bit of off-throttle twitchiness that I don't love, that may have something to do with some of the Tarot Engineering stuff that's still in the rear that I didn't replace. But I know that these have finicky rear subframes, rear alignment adjustment, that even if we're dead on a Hunter rack, sometimes you just need a real expert to dig into it. So it's not bad enough for me to freak out about, but it still has a little bit of toe, like, again, off-throttle twitchiness that I don't like. Maybe that's just part of the 997, I'm not sure. So then The other thing that I had envisioned when I bought this thing was I'm going to dry ice clean it. So we took the rear off the car, we took all the plastics off the car, and we did a full dry ice restoration of the underside, got all the grease and grime and dirt and road stuff out of all the fender wells. Scott and I sort of refinished all the plastics as well, that process took about a week. Would have cost probably $5,000 or $6,000 if I had hired someone to do it. I think we used about 400 pounds of ice, dry ice on the thing, and really, really cleaned up. Make sure to go check out that series if you're interested in dry ice cleaning on how we got this thing all dialed. Took all the fender well linings out, the whole rear bumper was off, the brake lights, all this was taken apart, and then I was also able to assess it was missing a bunch of screws, a bunch of the panel screws and stuff on the whole underside of the car. It had some mismatch and some off stuff, so I ordered all new screws, all new nuts and bolts, so that way all the underside is put together. We tried to restore the front lip. We were able to restore the side skirts, but the front lip needed to be replaced, so I replaced the front lip, and then there was probably 4 or 5 different plastic pieces on the bottom I had to buy to replace so that we could get it back to factory fresh and new. So that was a important part of the process, is getting it cleaned with the right nuts and bolts. And this car had been serviced a lot, and so through all that servicing, there'd been quite a bit of it has really extensive service records, so that's the one real positive, is that yes, it's been driven, but with all those extensive services, all the brake changes and pad changes and tire changes and transmission fluid flushes and all of that, I guess over the time they've lost and swapped different nuts and bolts and things that we were able to sort of put back to stock. Changed all the fluids, so changed the transmission fluid, transmission diff is in one area. I was having some real issues with notchiness. There was an aftermarket short shifter numeric in the car, and I thought we were going to have to replace the transmission, so I thought this was going to be a really, really big project. One of the previous owners, I think it was the third owner, reached out to me and said, hey, I had the transmission redone. It's probably just the short shifter. Sure enough, we tore the short shifter apart, made it worse. I think it was just a minute adjustment in the numeric. I just didn't like that bolt action. It was beyond mechanical to me. And so I actually bought a brand new 997.2 factory short shift box. I bought a brand new set of OE cables, sold the numeric, brand new shift boot, and so we're back to that sort of factory, sort of normal notchy operation. And with the transmission fluid flush, there really wasn't a whole heck of a lot of material in the flange of the transmission, so its transmission's good to go. So that scare was averted. It only cost me $1,000. I guess it only netted $300 or so, because I sold the numeric for $750, spent $1,000 on the new parts, and so that net wasn't too drastic, which made a pretty significant difference in how the car now functions. Changed the oil, changed and flushed the brake. When we did the caliper change, all the brake fluid's been updated to Castrol, Castrol SRF. Was that dot 5? Is it dot 4, dot 5? Brake fluid. So all that's been adjusted and changed. The interior is where I spent a lot of time. Same thing with the front trunk here. I put new. The rear was fine, but the front, I needed to put new hood struts on. Just kind of clean the carpets, deep clean the carpets, and get the front trunk area cleaned up. We were missing some clips and things underneath here, so I was able to kind of restore this back. And get it cleaned up and get it, functioning like factory. I even flushed the washer fluid out and replaced that. Just going through or going over the car and getting it set up for me, getting it set up the way that I like. One of the things that I've been back and forth on is the window tint. The car was tinted rather darkly. We're in Florida. I don't know who's going to win it and where they're going to win it. I didn't want to pull the tint off if someone was going to retint it. It's probably $1,000 worth of window tint on this thing. It's really easy to remove for the person who wins the car. They can have that done after the fact. So I left the window tint alone. If somebody in Florida or Texas wins the thing, California, California might be a little too dark, but you know, in some of the southern states, you probably want to leave the window tint. But I spent an extensive amount of time, probably more time in the interior than I did on the exterior. The steering wheel Alcantara was destroyed. I took the wheel out and sanded it and got it restored nicely. That wheel is actually an aftermarket fatter wheel. It's an OE wheel that's been modified. It's a really expensive steering wheel. I think it's about $3,000 to get that thing. And so I wanted to try to restore the Alcantara. I was able to successfully do that. The shift knob I couldn't save. I was able to save the Alcantara on the center console. This car was originally a carbon fiber center console car. I'm actually pleased that they swapped the carbon fiber center consoles. They crack, and so this has had a replacement of the 997.2 GT3, not the RS, but the GT3 center console, and that's a GT3 shift knob to match, which I bought. I swapped the radio buttons were all melty and ruined. This had a big gouge in it, so we took the whole glove box off in order to change the latch. All of the door trim, so the trim on both sides, the passengers and driver's side, has been replaced. The seats I removed from the car. I got new Ed guards. I took the seat belts out. I was going to replace them, but I was able to restore them by steam cleaning them. It had a yellow cage in it. Both of the seat belt holders were broken. Or the seat belt bracket covers, one was broken, one was missing, and replaced that. We have a new satin cage in the back, and Mike had to re-tap the bolts. What else do we do in here? New floor mats. I took the seats out and completely restored the Alcantara, the inserts, treated and cleaned the leather. The leather was all shined up. There was 2 holes in the leather in the driver's seat, restored that with the color lock system. Yeah, what else did we do in here? I had to change the light bulbs because the light bulbs were out. Actually, I think one may have gone out again, so I may need to fix that. The door cards were all kicked and scratched up. I was able to restore those, and I ended up coating them with Exo V4. Sanded down the Alcantara of the door panels and got that flat and flush. And to polish the heck out of the door jambs because they were all scratched up. Yeah, a lot of work went in this interior. The car actually has a DSC controller on it as well. So there's a DSC controller up under the dash here, or on the floor, the kick panel. So it had that, came with that, and I haven't messed with that. DSC controller usually does a pretty decent job. But yeah, so the interior took quite a bit of money, quite a bit of time, quite a bit of work to get it looking how nice it. Now it looks stock with a aftermarket, but a satin black cage. It just looks really, really nice, really, really good. Maybe $5,000 on the interior. Let's see, the side pieces, the battery buttons. I actually like those Redline pedals in there. Yeah, maybe I didn't spend that much. Maybe a couple grand. Most of the money went into the exhaust. And so now the car has, you can see the factory exhaust sitting over there. The car had a sole center bypass, which is not a terrible option, but not the best option for this car. And so we swapped it for a full Dundon street system with 200 CEL cats. Should be good to go in 50 states, so it's not catless. I'm pretty sure Dundon's, Dundon's in Washington State, and I'm sure the good percentage of their business is in California, so I think the car is good to go there. I was going to do the Dundon D4 package and do the plenum and intake and all of that, but I just don't feel like the car needs more power. I mean, it feels freaking quick as can be, especially now with the Dundon exhaust. So we have Dundon equal length headers going into a side muffler delete, into the Dundon loud center muffler. It replaced the factory stuff, which saved 22 pounds, makes about 25 horsepower at the wheels, like legit dyno tested horsepower, and you can't argue with that. I think that the car sounds freaking incredible. OG license plate frame modification there. What else did we do to this? I'm sure I'm missing some stuff. Managed to crack the frickin' taillight. I ordered one. We'll see when I get it here. I'll probably end up having to ship it to the owner. Somehow we managed to break the end of the tip of the taillight. You can see how dirty the car is. My cars are never this dirty. And we're shooting a video. We needed to get this video done, so I'm sorry for the filth. Yeah, this was. I think I probably have. I should add it up, but I would wager somewhere around 100 hours into this personally, of all the different things I've done to it. Plus, it's had to, doing some transit back and forth at different places. Mike had to take it a few different places, get alignment done, things like that. So we have an extensive amount of hours into correcting the paint and fixing the interior and steaming and sanding Alcantara and just figuring things out, new wiper blades, all the little things, all the little parts and pieces that add up to what the car now is. We have, we'll put a link in the description, we have on the main giveaway page all the different things that I've done to it. But you don't think about the 10 hours polishing it and 4 hours coating it, that kind of stuff. Coating the wheels, me road force mounting and balancing with my machines over here, the wheels and tires, all that kind of stuff, all the parts and pieces that have gone into getting this thing to where it's at today. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. Pretty proud of it. It's even dirty, it looks freaking awesome. Man, the thing is great. Just that German sound when you shut a German door, and man, it's all come together. There's a few points there I wasn't sure when I thought the transmission was toast. I wasn't sure that I could pull it off, but after all the time and energy and effort, I've really enjoyed the experience. I also wrote a journal of what I've done to it on Renlist. We'll put that link in the description. But it's going to go to somebody, and I couldn't imagine. Could you imagine? Like, you got a call from me and said, hey, what's your address? I need to ship this thing to you. You just won a 997 RS. That's kind of run away from all of us now, The car's so much money. Even a driver, even a 30,000 mile car with a little bit of history, no accident history, but just service history and stuff like that, clear track mileage history, and you've got a $300,000 car. It's pretty remarkable. I mean, there's only 490 of these in the country, in the U.S. 542 or something like that came to North America. And how many of them probably are crashed? 50 of them, so there's 475, 480 of these cars on the road. It's been a great experience. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to pony up the $350,000 or $400,000 I'd have to do to get one. I really do like the car. But I don't know that I love it enough to sacrifice my future to get one. Who knows? Maybe if you guys really support this giveaway, maybe I'll get one and try to share it as much as I can. But yeah, gray black 997.2 2011 Porsche 911 GT3 RS. I always make fun of the Corvette guys for all their numbers and letters, but I guess we have them too. So I think this one is one for the ages, one for the books for me. A lot of work. Oh, it does have aftermarket wing risers. Some people don't love that. I think it's fine. I like the taller wing. It makes it easier to see out the back, and then does provide some residual benefit. So I'm going to wash the thing this weekend likely, and it's going to sit here. And if you want to come see it, if you're in the area, come visit. We're here weekdays every day, 9 to 5-ish, 8 to 4:30. You can come and sit in it, and we'll start it up for you. But the days of this being on the road for me, I have one more thing to do with a wash and drive we're going to do. And this sucker's going to stay here safe and sound in the air conditioning, waiting for its next owner. And anyway, thanks for your support. I'd really appreciate it if you go buy something. Buy lots of stuff. I've got to come up with 300 G's in order to overcome the money I spent on this thing. Hopefully we can make more than that in the long run, but I do feel very a very strong sense of gratitude for having owned this. Even though it's been for a 6 or 7 month time frame. I think I'll own it 9 months in total. I do feel fortunate. We'll see if I get one on my own someday, but it's been great. Title sitting over on the drawer there. I'm excited to sign it over to one of you. I just hope it's one of you that bought like $3,000 worth of stuff, not a t-shirt, but who knows? You could have bought a $5 digital entry and win the thing. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. Lots more content coming on the GT3 RS over the next days and months while we go through the giveaway. The giveaway runs from June 1st to July 31st, and we'll make the announcement probably the first Friday after July 31st, so like first week in August, and we'll be calling somebody and changing their life forever. Even if you don't keep the car, I mean, imagine, sell the thing for 300 grand, pay the $90,000 in tax, and put a couple $100 grand in your bank account. That's pretty sick. So thanks for watching. As always, stay tuned for more crazy. Next car, 458 Speciale. Who's down for that? We'll see you soon.